welcome to the 2KU Weekly Podcast. We are getting down there to the scenarios where teams are about to clinch their way to the conference championship game, one of which is happening right now as Miami of Ohio hosts Kent State, I believe, on the other side of the field.
Yes.
These are the two top teams in the MAC East Division. Doesn't really look like it, though, as Miami of Ohio comes into this one 6-3. Kent State's 3-6 in this contest. But Miami's undefeated in conference up to this point. One more loss from Kent State will knock them out. So what you're saying is, Danny, if Kent State wins tonight and then loses out, we would have a 4-8 team in a conference championship game.
That is a possibility, but they also need Miami of Ohio to lose another one.
There is a world where we have a 4-8 conference championship game team. Welcome to the 2KU. I'm Antoine Joy 101, joined by Danny V. Today we have the first of many episodes coming up where we're going to be talking about the championship scenarios because they're coming into view. We are deep into November. Saturday, when we were recording our 2KU game, I decided to set snow and thinking, it might be a little soon, a little early for snow, but who knows? Maybe who knows? This is probably plausible in 2KU. You want to know what happened? Not even 3 days later, up here in the great state of Michigan, it snowed bad. It snowed quite bad, in fact. How are things going in Spain? I'm assuming there's no snow over there.
No snow yet.
Oh, we had I think he cut out there. Danny? Danny's mic seems to be cutting out. We're having some technical difficulties here. However, we begin our show talking about week 11 in this one. Our top stories of this week.
Whoops.
All right. We back?
Yeah, I think I got infected by Robo-Ebola. Come early.
Yeah, that doesn't come for another 2 years.
Coming. Just like how snow is coming to Spain soon. It has started snow in the mountains.
In the mountains. Have fun with that. On the topic of snow, we have the Winter Olympics coming up soon. In February from Milan Cortina in Italy. Not too far from where you are. At least closer than they are to me.
Yeah. Don't worry, you're closer to the Summer Olympics than I am.
Yeah. Let's talk about our top stories of this week. We saw Cal Dirks ball out in the snow in Lawrence, leading the Raiders to their 8-1 record and keeping them alive in the Big 12. Miami, with their win over Wake Forest and Georgia Tech's loss, are the first team to clinch a conference championship berth in 2025. Cal, Fresno State, and Oregon State are focal points of an upset-heavy night for the Pac-12. Texas State, the new darlings of the college football world, are the first team to reach double-digit wins this season. And some big news in realignment is the American Athletic Conference coaches 5 SoCon members to end an era in the 2KU. Let's start from our game in Lawrence, where it was all Raiders all night. A downpour of white powder from David Booth. We thought that would hamper both of these offenses. It only hampered one of them. Kansas struggled all night to get points on the board. As for Texas Tech, they were clicking on all cylinders. We had some incredible highlights in this one. 47-13. Texas Tech, the number 14 Red Raiders, now 8-1. Number 22 Kansas Jayhawks fall to 6-4. And we've seen this trend with Kansas in recent years, starting white hot, but entering deep into their conference schedule, they seem to falter when they face tougher teams. Last season it happened. It's happening this one as well. It's no longer a fluke. It feels like a trend. I feel like this Kansas team is starting to become frustratingly hard to expect to see in a big situation as we may or may not have a pick six here. We don't. It's just a pick. But it seems like Texas Tech is where Kansas wants to be. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, Texas Tech, they played on fire that night. Like they were playing better than Kansas could ever. I think I'm still hearing touchdowns in Lawrence, but it's from the opposite team. Oh,
We're laughing like Statler and Waldorf. Uh, Moving on, Saturday, November 1st, Duke pulling off a major upset in the SEC, 29-13 in Atlanta over Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets falling to 6-3. The Blue Devils are now 5-4 as basketball season also kicked off this week. But for the Blue Devils, football is right now the precedent. They're trying to accumulate as many wins as possible. They know their basketball team is going to pick up wins against random small D1 or NAIA schools, but this is this is crunch time for their team. But it's kind of out of their hands right now. With Tech's loss, it all sat on the shoulders of a game at Hard Rock Stadium as Miami takes care of a now 2-7 Wake Forest, 24-13. And with that win, the 8-1 Hurricanes have done it. They lock up the ACC Coastal. They're going to the championship game for the first time since 2017. And they're the first team in this 2KU season to clinch a conference championship berth. Danny?
yeah, Miami's been playing on fire in the ACC. They went off to a good start. Their only loss was to Purdue in the outer conference, which, if y'all remember, Purdue was also on a hot streak. So Miami has a lot of going for them. Now they just got to see who's going to play them from the Atlantic.
Right now, of course, the favorites are the Clemson Tigers. I'll skip a game ahead here to talk about them. 31-27, they have a bit of a scare. They played really sloppy in that first half, getting down to a trailing by double digits, but they ended up clicking by the fourth quarter, pulling away 31-27, the final score, to beat Florida State. FSU, we were expecting them to be a top contender in the ACC. We were expecting this game to be a game of the week when it happened. Florida State has just not been up to snuff this season. As for Clemson, they have met the expectations and beyond at 9-0 through this part of the year. They are number one in the country for good reason. Danny?
Yeah, Clemson, they played lights out. I mean, this is a rivalry game. It's always unpredictable. We've seen years where there's been an upset or there's been some sloppiness. But Clemson, they definitely came out and they took care of business, especially in the second half. I'm sure Pig Bear will be very, very, very happy to see that.
Big Bear currently in the snow in North Carolina. He's going to be playing football doing football in a bit. Moving on from there, Florida locked again through the road trip from hell. They lost to Georgia last week in Jacksonville. They head to Baton Rouge and lose to LSU but not without putting up a fight. 17-13 the final. The Tigers needed a bounce back week, and they got it. The 8-1 LSU still alive in the national championship race for reasons we will see later. Danny?
Yeah, LSU, they needed this win last week, losing to their nearby rival of Ole Miss definitely did hurt them a lot. And Florida, they needed a win because sitting at 5-4 and been sitting at 5 wins for a couple weeks now, that kind of diminishes the confidence of both yourself and the rest of your team. So they got to find that extra win somewhere before the Scotland kills them.
Didn't Florida start 5-0?
Yes.
They've lost 4 straight, and their schedule's not much easier. They have Alabama still. I believe they play Florida State and Dave's show as well.
They already played Dave.
They already played Dave's show. I don't remember who's left on their schedule. They have Bama next week.
Then they play Vanderbilt and then Florida State.
Vandy and Florida State. All right. No gimmies there through the rest of the year. Where's that Florida State game at?
It's in Tallahassee.
That's especially difficult. Vandy's at 4-5 as well. Talk about
the sneaky 4-5. They have a pretty tough schedule.
Rivalry game from South Bend, number 2 Michigan taking on an unranked Notre Dame, who they themselves have been underachieving this year in their first year of independency. Michigan gets the win 24-17 to improve to 9-0. But again, not a confident performance from the Wolverines. They are undefeated, but they've been skating by close in a lot of these games. Minnesota, Michigan State. I think the same thing was true with their game against Wisconsin. And
Yep.
same is true in Notre Dame. 24-17 the final score. A win, but not a confident one. I still am unconvinced that this Michigan team makes the national championship. I think they do have a good chance of winning the Big Ten. But right now, it feels like they're the next undefeated team to fall. Danny? Whoa, look
Yeah,
out.
Michigan, they've been playing very sloppily, and their schedule's still pretty tough. Next week, they play against Penn State, then, of course, a rivalry game against Northwestern, and the game. So it's, of course, going to be very tough for them. And Notre Dame, even though their record might not be good, they still have themselves, like, possibly the toughest schedule in the country. I mean, think about this. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams in their schedule. All are receiving votes. They're playing really tough games, so their record might not indicate all that it seems.
The Fighting Irish have had a horrible schedule so far. They did, remember, they fired their head coach a few weeks ago when they lost to Army. It's going to be a lot that they need to claw back out of if they want to even get to bowl eligibility. Because what did Notre Dame have coming up?
Yep. Afterward, Notre Dame goes to Pitt. Then they host Miami for things against convicts, and then they go to Stanford.
No gimmies whatsoever. Miami's playing potentially for a natty spot should all things align. Stanford is a very difficult squad. They're still very much alive in the Pac-12. Of the 2-loss Cardinal, they play Cal this week. See what happens there. And Pitt's played up with everybody, even with their struggling, even with their record at 3-6. Speaking of, I think we have a pick 6 here. Hang on. Oh, he's gone. Touchdown, Kent State. Speaking of unpredictability, let's talk about the Pac-12. It's been a busy week. Starting with a tamer game, Mountain West foes reunited, Utah and Boise State from Salt Lake City. Utah winning 37-23. But then the floodgates really opened. Oregon State, 34-27, beating Arizona State at home. That's big momentum for Oregon State, seeing USC on their schedule. Next, from Fresno, the Fresno State Bulldogs get possibly the biggest win in their team's history with a 36-30 win over number 3 Washington. Not only does that send them bowling, it's their first ever win against a top 3 program in school history. That's Washington's first loss of the year. That would leave USC the only undefeated team in the conference, except they headed to a 2-loss Cal, who got a 41-38 upset victory. And now the 7-2 Bears are upset the number 6 Trojans. So now the Pac-12 is without an undefeated team in the span of 4 hours. USC fell. Washington fell. Arizona State went from 2 losses to 3. And so did Boise State. And now the Pac-12 is wide open once again. Danny, what do you make of this weekend?
What a chaotic weekend for the Pac. I mean, the Conference of Champions really did put into question who's going to be their champion. If you look at the standings, 5 teams have 2 losses or less. It's a chaotic weekend and a chaotic scenario for the Pac-12, so anything could still happen in the Pac. We might be going to the final weekend where we're still needing some clinches to be locked in. So it's going to be chaotic to see who will come out on top and who will be making their way to LA. Woof! Beautiful pass.
We have an entertaining one on the screen today. Moving from there, one more game to talk about. I already touched on it in our headlines, but Texas State, the game itself is not very notable. 20-0. They head to Norfolk and beat Old Dominion. But Texas State, number 17 in the country. Remember how much we were fawning over William and Mary when they were at 5-0? Texas State's at 10-0. They're the only team in the country to have double-digit wins at this point in the season. And looking at their last 2 games of the schedule, very winnable. That conference championship game might be tricky. But should they do it, Conference USA will have its first undefeated team since 2023 in a little squad named UCF. Made it all the way there. And looking at how many undefeated teams just fell, a split national championship would not be off of the table. There's something to play for Texas State, even if a national championship appearance is probably a pipe dream. Danny?
Yeah, national championship game might be a little bit high for them, but they still could possibly try and technically winning themselves a national title, all in the power of the BCS. But definitely, they have very winnable schedule now. Their really big hope is to see can they beat UTSA in the final weekend, and who will they beat from the other division in the championship game, which is most likely going to be Marshall or UAB.
I believe UAB lost this week, so Marshall does have. They also have tiebreakers, I believe, but Marshall is in the driver's seat in that other division.
I do want to talk about one other game before we go on.
What happened here?
For the first time since 1946, Chicago has beaten a Big Ten team. Shout out the Maroons.
We don't know who they beat, but they no, they did.
They beat Minnesota.
The team's first conference win in over, I believe, 79 years. It would have been. I'll tell you who was president at the time. A guy named Harry Truman was still president at that point in time.
First Big Ten win for you, Chicago.
From there, we move on to some other old school conferences in the SoCon and Missouri Valley, who, as we've been following through the past few weeks, touchdown Miami. As we've been following we've had a bunch of teams voting on their future in the FBS or moving to the FCS. If you remember a few weeks ago, we saw the SoCon and Missouri Valley each vote. If they couldn't get a 3/4 majority, we mentioned they would vote in a second round. That was on Saturday. Each of these teams voting for a 66% majority in order to confirm their decision. Any school still without the majority will vote again on November 29th. And meanwhile, let's talk about those teams. We're going to start with the Missouri Valley since only 2 teams were voting and their results were clear. North Dakota voting to join their fellow defectors in South Dakota, moving down 15% to 85%. They voted 28-72 back in October. Wichita State, on the other hand, voting to stay 68-32. They voted 48-52 in October to leave. So it's interesting to see the Shockers flip on this. Now let's talk about the SoCon rather. Southland already finished their votes. 3 schools I'll mention are Chattanooga, who went 23-77 in favor of leaving for the FCS, as well as VMI and Washington and Lee. VMI voted 51-49. No clear consensus there. Washington and Lee, it was dead even, 50-50. And there were results for Furman, Richmond, Citadel, but a spoiler alert, I suppose that wouldn't end up mattering because of a separate headline that just happened. The American Athletic Conference making a big move in scooping up not just those 3 schools, but also Western Carolina and William and Mary. 5 new members. If you remember, the American lost 5 members through their round of voting, but scoop up 5 more. Colgate, Delaware, Holy Cross, Massachusetts, and UGF were the projected members for the American in 2026. But now with 5 more, that definitely will help the conference stay afloat. It's projected the American will take over the affiliations of the SoCon's bowls, namely the Camellia Bowl, which SoCon had been participating in since the 40s with its original incarnation. But it definitely signals not only the end of an era, but the beginning of a new one for this American Athletic Conference, which has been a bit of a revolving door as of late. It seems like Charlotte or Jacksonville or Kennesaw have come in and out. At one point, this conference stretched as far out as Texas with Tarleton, but it seems like they're settling in to a current identity. There were rumors that they were going to try and poach the new teams from the MAC in Duquesne and Johns Hopkins, though I don't think that ended up happening. We'll see if they end up leaning towards that next season. Danny, New American, your thoughts?
Yeah, this American is getting themselves an identity, which I think they really needed. Because let's face it, for a couple of years since the conference was founded, it has felt like a mishmash of random teams playing football together. From teams from the Northeast, stretching down to Georgia, to the Carolinas, and even out west to Texas. It felt kind of a bit of a mishmash. So by bringing in these new teams, that definitely does help the American make itself have a clearer identity of being an East Coast conference. And who knows if they want to have some fun with their scheduling matrix or what kind of games they want to secure.
The question now is, another question to ask is, do they end up moving in the future? I think looking at the real life alignment, there have been grumblings about some Northeastern schools. The one I was really interested about was Stony Brook. That was one I was hearing grumblings about a lot, thanks to that New York market. Albany as well. They have been very dominant in the 2KU's FCS. I could see teams like Maine or New Hampshire, or even just staying in the 2KU's FBS. Teams like Johns Hopkins and Duquesne again. Very interesting moves or very interesting potential moves, at least indeed. From the American to the bowling alley, we're going to talk about teams going bowling in this 2025-26 season. Take it away, Danny.
Yeah, so welcome back to the bowling alley. We have a couple of teams who finally found their spot and are now got into the bowling alley, trying to wait see who they're gonna face off against for, or maybe a strike. The ACC has no new teams joining the bowling alley, but next up in the American, Delaware finally makes its way into the bowling alley, joining alongside with UMass, waiting for others to hopefully join them. Out of the Big East, Cincinnati makes their way to bowl eligibility. They finally got a good win over who did they beat? Someone.
Someone.
The Big Ten, no one new has joined them, standing with the Big 12. Out of the Conference USA, Southern Miss and UTSA has joined them to go bowling. In the Ivy League, Harvard has joined them to go bowling. In the MAC, Northern Illinois has finally found their way into the bowling alley. In the Missouri Valley, Youngstown State has joined the rest of the crew.
It'll be the first bowl appearance,
No,
I believe.
I believe so. Yeah. In the Mountain West, no new teams have joined them. In the pack, we got Oregon State and Fresno State, after their big win over Washington, has made their way into the bowling.
And they're comfortably a
In the
conference with the
SEC,
most
Tennessee.
teams, by the way.
Oh yeah, they have 9 teams who currently clinch a spot, and
Over
a couple
half.
teams who are waiting outside. In the SEC, Tennessee has joined them. In the SoCon, Western Carolina has now got their bowl spot. In the South End, we got a Lamar who's joining them. In the Sun Belt, we have Arkansas State and Georgia Southern who has joined them into the bowl eligibility. No new teams from the WAC and no new teams from the Independents, but teams who are currently waiting outside. Alongside with Virginia and Daveshire trying to find their parking spot, Boston College and Duke has made their way to the parking lot. In the American, UGF is still looking for the spot, but now they're also joined by Austin P. Georgetown trying to find their spot. The Big Ten, no one has got their way to the parking lot just yet, but hopefully some other teams could get there. At the Big 12, Nebraska's still looking for their spot to park their tractor, but Texas A&M has joined them. Out of the Conference USA, Western Kentucky is still looking, staring with those big old eyes. But now they're also joined by the Lumberjacks of Stephen F. Austin. In the Ivy League, it's Princeton who has joined them. In the MAC, heck, John Hopkins and Bowling Green has made their ways. Hopefully they can find a spot for a Pudge. In the Missouri Valley, North Dakota State is still looking, but in comes South Dakota State, who is also trying to find their spot. They actually play against each other in, I believe, next weekend. The Mountain West, no new teams have joined them. In the Pac, Utah has joined them. Sorry, I was getting a call there. In the SEC, Florida and Rice are still trying to find their spot.
What a grab.
And the SoCon, VMI is trying to find their spot. In the Southland, and then Central. No, in the Southland, Abilene Christian is trying to find their spot to get into a bowl game. In the Sun Belt, you got ULM and Louisiana trying to find their parking spot, the two Louisiana schools. In the WAC, you got Central Arkansas and Louisiana Tech who are trying to find their spot. And in the Independents, there is Navy. Unfortunately, we had a couple of eliminations. We got two eliminations out of the ACC with NC State and Wake Forest, who have lost their bowl spot. The Americans still have St. John's. The Big East has now gotten Villanova to join them. Joined Syracuse and Memphis. Memphis locked out. No teams from the Big 10 or Big 12. In the Conference USA, a lot of teams have joined them. Sam Houston State is joined alongside Charlotte, Old Dominion, and Middle Tennessee. In the Ivy League, Dartmouth has joined Penn, Cornell, and Brown. In the MAC, we got their first three teams to join them. We got Buffalo, Duquesne, and Toledo. In the Missouri Valley, South Dakota has joined North Dakota and Western Illinois. On the Mountain West, Eastern Washington now joins New Mexico after Eastern Washington's pretty good start, but have floundered since. Out of the Pac, Colorado State now joins them. The SEC still has Tulsa just stuck out there. Similar thing with the South SoCon with Wofford and Davidson. The Southland now has Houston Christian joining them, joining the two Tigers of East Texas A&M and Southeastern Louisiana.
They're the
The
Lions.
The Lions. Whoops.
Oh my.
Actually, they're both Lions. Whoops. Sorry. The Sun Belt, Georgia State and FIU. Georgia State's joined by FIU to go in. And out of the WAC, you got Utah Tech, UTRGV, and Southern Utah who are still out. No team from the Independents. And of course, we still have the teams in transition like UC Davis and Sacramento State who are at 5 wins, but transition rules indicates they need 7 wins to fully guarantee a full spot.
One of them will get 6. They play each other at the end of the year.
Yep, and they still both have an FCS squad, so it's very winnable for both sides.
Mm-hmm. They might end up being out of room though, potentially. Seeing how many teams have bowl spots ahead of them. Let's talk about the top 25 for week 12. Number 1 and number 2 are unchanged in Clemson and Michigan. Number 3, 4, both up 1 after the losses by Washington. Or the loss by Washington. Louisville and Oregon are now 3, 4. And up 2 spots is Georgia, now wrapping out your top 5. Washington sits number 6, followed by Alabama at 7. Number 8 is LSU. Number 9, down 3, USC. And number 10, still unchanged, that's going to be Texas. And I believe 3 spots ties, 3 spots is our biggest riser this week at least. That would be for Texas Tech, sitting at number 11. Number 12, down 1 is Ohio State. Miami, unchanged after their win in Wake Forest. They're number 13. Up 1 spot are 14, 15, and 16. Nevada, Iowa State, and Texas State. are all jumping up, as is number 17, Wisconsin. Tied for biggest riser, number 18, Oklahoma, also out of the Big 12. As that Big 12 race is going to be very fun to watch as the weeks go by. Number 19, Ole Miss, unchanged from last week with an FCS win. Our biggest faller this week, Georgia Tech, fell 8 spots after their loss to Duke. As we move on to our next spots, up 2, 21, Temple. Up 3, number 22, tied for biggest riser, the SEC's Arkansas, who are going to be big players in that East Division or that West Division in these last few weeks. I believe they play both Ole Miss and LSU to end their year. UCF up 1 spot. They have a ranked matchup, one of only 2 this week, as they head to Louisville. Number 24, West Virginia, down 4 spots. They won. I'm not sure why they fell 4, but they head on the road to take on number 21, Temple. And we wrap our top 25 with Michigan State returning into the top 25 after the win at Illinois. They play Army coming up as the game you're watching right now heads to halftime. Our next team's up is loaded with teams. The one team I will mention from this squad, Kansas, the only team to drop out of the top 25 this week after their loss to Texas Tech. They have to head to Oklahoma State coming up. The next teams up that also received votes are Nebraska, Cal, Rutgers, South Carolina, North Carolina, Marshall, Tennessee, Purdue, Fresno State, Boise State, South Alabama, Arizona State, FAU, Cullen-Payton, UAB, Stanford, Cincinnati, Tarleton State, Kansas, SMU, Southern Illinois, Drake, and Notre Dame. One weird thing that stuck out like sore thumb is Notre Dame being here. Not only did they lose, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are 3-6 on the season. And Danny, do you have any choice words for that?
Yeah. Why? How? Why? Again?
Where?
I mean, granted, their schedule's very tough, so they schedule isn't what it all seems, but it's still very questionable about them getting any kind of votes.
You know how we
But
joked?
I guess because how close it was.
You know how we joked for weeks about last season about Virginia Tech still getting votes for no clear reason? I think we found our Virginia Tech. We're going to move now to our conference scenarios, which we now can talk about thanks to our first clinch. I wasn't expecting Miami in the ACC to be the first team to clinch a division, but here we are. I thought the Coastal was going to be a lot closer in these final weeks, but with Georgia Tech slipping, same with North Carolina, Miami clinched. So we're going to start by talking about the ACC Atlantic. And right now, it's all between the top 2 teams with some fringe contenders as well. It's Clemson and South Carolina. Both of them, all they got to do, win out. That includes playing each other in that final week. That game is in Clemson, if I'm correct.
Yes.
That might end up being a 2KU game of the week, potentially. We have Ohio State, Michigan also. That's going to be a loaded final week. But outside, you have Boston College and Maryland. Both need to win out. BC winning out would beat Maryland and Clemson. Maryland winning out would beat Boston College and Clemson naturally. And both of them need Clemson and South Carolina to lose one more game. Naturally, Clemson, the favorites to make it this far out. I think Clemson does survive their schedule, though not without a hiccup. I think they lose a game, potentially to Maryland, I think is their most likely loss on the schedule. Danny?
Yeah, I'm thinking Clemson's also going to win this division too. It's going to be very close, especially in that final weekend where all the marbles going to be for both South Carolina and Clemson, unless South Carolina just drops one. But I definitely do think that Clemson has the best chance of winning this division to play against Miami in Charlotte.
Let's talk about the American. Delaware in the driver's seat. They need to win out. That would include Georgia Fairburn or Austin Peay. Incomplete. Austin Peay needs to win out, which would include beating Delaware. UMass needs a win out. They would need Delaware to lose 3 and APSU to lose 2 to make it to the championship game. I'm surprised it's not as easier for UMass to make it through. As for UGF, they need to win out, which includes Delaware. They need Delaware to lose 2. They need Austin Peay and UMass to lose 1, and Colgate to lose 1 as well. As for the Raiders, Colgate needs to win out. They need Delaware to lose twice, as well as APSU and UMass to lose once. Delaware in the driver's seat. I like Delaware making it. I'm surprised UMass doesn't have much of a chance getting there.
Yeah, unfortunately, UMass lost last weekend, so that definitely did took down some of their chances to win this one. As a matter of fact, they lost to Austin P, I believe, so that makes it even harder for them.
I don't see Austin P winning much through here. So I think Delaware makes it. But if Delaware wins out and Austin P loses out, what would that mean?
Then the next team up would be UMass.
All right. In that case, I think it is UMass and Delaware in my championship game for the American. Danny?
Yeah, I'm also gonna pick Delaware to win this one, but I am kind of feeling UGF. They still have a winnable second half, including games against St. John's, which, come on, that's gonna be basically a rest of week for them. And I think UMass and Austin P, they still have quite a bit of some tough games left out.
Oh. To the Big East. Both of these are very simple because they're going to be settled on Saturday. Big East North, Temple, West Virginia beat each other, win that game, and you're on to the championship game in New York. Big East South, UCF, Louisville beat each other, then you're on the championship game in New York. It's as simple as that. And if I'm looking at these matchups, I gotta go UCF, or I gotta go Louisville, and I gotta go West Virginia. Danny?
I'm going with the two birds. Give me Temple against Louisville. As much as I want the Knights to win, I'm thinking Louisville has a better chance, especially with them hosting it.
Mm-hmm. Louisville's just been so much more of a dominant team. I think they are going to take it to the Big Ten. It's down to the top 4 squads. Michigan, win out. That includes an Ohio State win to end the season. Wisconsin, they need to win out. They have a much more winnable season. I'm expecting the Badgers to make it to the championship. But should the Badgers win out, then it would all come down to Michigan and Ohio State for that final spot in the championship game. That would lead to a Virginia Tech style scenario should Michigan end up winning out as well, where Ohio State makes the championship and we have an 11-1 team sitting on the sidelines for that one. However, the scenario is not done yet. We also have Michigan State. They need to win out. They need Michigan to lose 3, Ohio State to lose 2, and Wisconsin to lose 2. Michigan plays Penn State. A win against the Nittany Lions would eliminate the Spartans, I believe.
Yes.
And right now, is this just is this for the number 1 spot? Like the scenarios? Or is it just for qualifying?
For any kind of clinching.
Okay.
For qualifying.
I don't know why. I'm still feeling Michigan and Ohio State making it to the championship game. I think they play each other twice. Danny?
Wisconsin's a very easy second half. Their second half includes Chicago, Iowa, and Minnesota. So I'm thinking Wisconsin wins one, but with how poor this team is playing, I am picking Ohio State to upset Michigan.
Michigan. To the Big 12. The game is in Columbus. To the Big 12. We have 6 teams still in the race. And a bunch of them have very simple scenarios. Namely, Iowa State and Oklahoma. All they have to do is win out. That includes a win over Texas in Iowa State's case. Oklahoma already beat Texas. They just have to win out flat. And their schedule is favorable. Oklahoma is an interesting team moving forward. As for Texas, they need to win out, including that Iowa State game, and they need Oklahoma to lose one. Texas Tech, we saw how well they played. They are still on the back foot, though. They need to win out. They need Iowa State to lose twice. They need Oklahoma to lose once. Same with Texas. I don't know how likely it is they can do it, but I think a win-out scenario for Texas Tech is very likely moving forward. SMU is still on the bubble. They need to win out. They need Iowa State to lose twice, and they need OU and Texas each to lose once, much like Texas Tech. You have Texas A&M as well. They need to win out with the win over Texas. They need Iowa State to lose twice and Oklahoma to lose once. Looking at the schedules looking forward, is there a if there is a route for it, I think I have to pick. I like Texas Tech and Oklahoma to play for the conference championship game. Danny?
It is definitely possible. They just need the following to happen. Let me just make sure I get this one correctly. Yep. So they need Texas to beat Iowa State in that final weekend, and then hopefully waiting for Texas A&M to upset Texas for them to make it, and of course Oklahoma just has to win out, and Texas needs to win out as well.
All right. Interesting scenario to see moving forward. Conference USA. CUSA East, it's down to 3 teams. Marshall needs to win out, including that win over Kennesaw, which would clinch it. UAB needs to win out and have Marshall lose twice. And Kennesaw State actually has to win out, which is easier said than done, though, when you have both Marshall and UAB on your schedule. It would still be the Owls' first ever appearance in an FBS championship game, seeing as the team has only been here for a few seasons. Conference USA West, we've seen a bunch of teams win out. It's simple for Texas State. Just win. You have UTSA coming up later in the year. They just need to win. Southern Miss, they need to win out with a win over UTSA, and they need the Texas State train to derail with 2 losses. As for UTSA, they need to win out. Two of their last 3 games are Southern Miss and Texas State. Right now, I feel comfortable in saying Texas State makes it out of their schedule. I think they are the most likely team to enter conference championship week undefeated. Look at that. Shenanigans going on the field there. I think Texas State plays Marshall for a conference championship game. Danny?
I'm also going to pick Marshall against Texas State. It's going to be a lot easier for both these teams, especially for Texas State, where they just need to win one more match just to fully lock it in. And their next opponent is Middle Tennessee. Should be an easy win for them, especially that game's at home.
It should be. To the Ivy League. No championship game here. The title just comes down to record and tiebreakers. Harvard sits in the driver's seat right now. They need to win out with a win over Columbia. Meanwhile, Columbia needs to win out, including beating Harvard and Princeton, the two other teams in competition. Princeton, they need to win out with a win over Columbia, and they need Harvard to lose twice. I think right now I like Columbia winning the championship again. It would be their third in 4 years. Danny?
Give me Harvard to win this one. I think Harvard has a much easier chance, and I think Harvard can definitely beat Columbia in, I believe it's 2 weeks from now.
To the MAC. We are seeing the scenario right now. Kent State and Miami playing for it. Miami wins with a win tonight. As for Kent State, they need a win and another Miami-Ohio loss. As for the other side of the conference, the MAC West, Bowling Green needs to win out with wins over Northern Illinois and Western Michigan. Central needs to win out, as well as a Bowling Green loss. And I don't know about the scores earlier. There were some scores earlier today that might change things. Northern Illinois needs to win out and Central Michigan to lose. And Western, they need to win out and NIU to lose a game.
I mean, now it's out of date for only one of these teams, because only one of these teams played earlier. And Central Michigan got themselves out by losing to Ball State.
And with that, I think my current favorite, I think, is Western Michigan to win the West. And as for this game, I think Kent State gets it done here, but I think Miami clinches the division anyway. Give me Miami versus Western. Danny?
Give me Miami against Bowling Green. I'm really liking Bowling Green. They playing well, and let's do it for Pudge.
Fudge. The Missouri Valley. The MVC East is in the hand of Missouri State, who have a tiebreaker over Southern Illinois. They need to win out with wins over Illinois State and Indiana State. SIU, they need to win out and have Missouri State lose twice in order to keep their dynasty alive. Indiana State and Illinois State, they need both to win out, including beating Missouri State and each other, and they each need SIU to lose a game. To the Missouri Valley West, Drake clinches it with a win coming up.
Yes.
In what has been a sneaky good season for the Bulldogs. And meanwhile, Northern Illinois in their final FBS season, they need to win out, including South Dakota State and Drake, and they need Drake to lose one more game. South Dakota State, they need to beat their rival, as well as UNI, and they need Drake to lose twice. North Dakota State needs to win out over their rival and Drake, and they need Drake to lose 3 more. Essentially, they need Drake to lose out.
Yeah.
I think Drake wins the West. I think they lock it up. And give me them against Southern Illinois. It would be a crazy matchup because both these teams are tied all time for the most Missouri Valley championships, and it would be settled on that night. Imagine how exciting that would be.
That would be fun. For me, I'm gonna have Drake against Missouri State. I think Missouri State, they have enough firepower in here. They already got the win against Southern Illinois, so I think they have enough in their juice to keep on going. And I think they're both gonna play each other in Columbia and St. Louis.
St. Louis. To the Mountain West, Nevada, the undefeated Wolfpack are 9-0. They need to win out to make it. That includes the win over UNLV. Wyoming is in second. They need to win out. And we wrap with UNLV. They need to beat Nevada and win out, as well as Wyoming losing one more game in order to qualify. I like that Nevada-Wyoming matchup for the conference championship game. It's bringing back old whack vibes from the 90s. It's going to be great. Danny?
Yeah, give me Nevada and Wyoming as well. These two have the best chance, and it'll be fun to have these two playing against each other.
The uniform matchup's going to be incredible also. To the Pac-12. In spite of the losses, it's still pretty straightforward for Washington. They need to win out, including a win over a difficult Cal team. USC needs to win out. They need Oregon. They need to win out and have Washington lose a game. Could that be that Cal matchup? Stanford. They're still in it. They need to win out with a win over Cal this week, as well as a USC loss. And for Cal, they need to win out with wins over Stanford and Washington, and they need Oregon to lose twice. Oregon ends the season, of course, with Oregon State. So maybe that's one loss for the Ducks. But right now, I'm very confident in Oregon. I like the Ducks moving forward. I think they make it to the conference championship game. And I think Washington does lose to Cal. So I think I like Oregon and USC making it back to the conference championship game. Danny?
I'm going to go with Washington and USC. I believe these two are the best out of the conference despite their recent loss. And I think these two will play against each other in LA.
Actually, now that I think of it, I might make an addendum. Because I can very much see USC. They have a very tough game that not a lot of people have been talking about. I think I'm going to mention it in our games of the week. They play Oregon State this week. Oregon State is a sleeper dynasty or sleeper giant killer. They have played very well against some of the best teams in college football this year. I think they could hand USC a loss moving forward. I think that might throw a wrench. And with that, you know who makes it in for me is Stanford. I think Stanford slips in now against Oregon for the conference championship game. Imagine that scenario.
That'd be a fun scenario right there.
We wrote them off as not as good as they used to be, and here they are, clawing their way back into the conference championship conversation. To the SEC. SEC East is now down to 3 teams. Not Florida, Georgia, Alabama anymore, but Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee. Georgia needs to win out, including a win over Tennessee. Alabama needs to win out and have Georgia lose twice. And Tennessee needs to win out and have Alabama lose once. To the SEC West, it's a very exciting race. Ole Miss, LSU, Arkansas. Ole Miss needs to win out, including that game against the Razorbacks. LSU needs to win out with a win over Arkansas, and they need Ole Miss to lose once, potentially to the Razorbacks. And as for Arkansas, it's pretty straightforward. Win out, but you got to do it against Ole Miss and LSU. This is probably one of the most fun and exciting SECs we've seen in a while. And right now, I like LSU to win the West, and I like Alabama to win the East. Danny?
I'm gonna go with Georgia to play against Ole Miss. I'm still thinking Ole Miss has a great chance. They're gonna win this game. It's a lot closer. The game against Arkansas is in Arkansas, so that's gonna be a little bit of a tough game for them. But I think Ole Miss has enough firepower to win this one, and I think Georgia will easily clinch out the East. But man, it's gonna be a while since we'll have a team in the conference championship that's lower ranked than another team who didn't make it.
I think again we got to go to that Virginia Tech scenario back in 2022. SoCon. Uh, looking at the SoCon, there are only 3 teams left in the race. It's gonna be Richmond, Western Carolina, and Furman. Richmond needs to win out with a win over Western Carolina. How about the Wildcats clawing their way back in this? They need to win out with wins over Richmond and Furman, their other competitors. Furman, they need to win out with a win over Western Carolina, and Richmond needs to lose twice for the Furman Paladins to make it to the championship game. Right now, I'm liking that Richmond-Western Carolina matchup for the championship. Danny?
Richmond, Western Carolina is also my pick, and touchdown for Miami. I'm thinking this match is gonna be the best one for these guys, and I'm thinking Richmond is gonna beat Western Carolina.
To the Southland. Abilene Christian currently sitting on top, even though they won't be here next season. They need to win out with a win over Nichols. Northwestern State needs to win out with a win over Nichols. Nichols needs to win out with wins over Abilene and Northwestern State. And Lamar still holding on to a very slim margin. They need to win out. They need all 3 teams above them to lose once. Call me crazy, but that might happen. But that just might end up happening. I like Northwestern State and Lamar to send the Southland Conference out. Danny?
Give me Northwestern State and Nichols to play against each other in the Southland. Even though that yes, they do have to play against each other, and this will be a rematch. I think that this game will be whoops. I think this game will be fun to see, and I'm thinking these two will play against each other.
Mm-hmm. To the Sun Belt, it's a 3-on-3 race. Sun Belt East, Georgia Southern, all of a sudden is now on top of it. They need to win out with wins over FAU and App. What a tough schedule for a Sun Belt team to have. App State needs to win out with wins over FAU and Georgia Southern. And FAU needs to win out with wins over Georgia Southern and App. Georgia Southern also needs to lose an extra game for FAU, who made it as high as the top 15 this season, to make it to the conference championship game. Not many races in which all 3 teams play each other near the end of the year. But here we are. Other side of the conference, Sunbelt West. Louisiana Monroe hasn't even made bowl eligibility yet, and they can win the division by winning out, including beating rival Louisiana. South Alabama, they need to win out and have ULM lose 1, and Arkansas State still in it. They need to win out. ULM needs to lose twice, and South Alabama needs to lose once. Call me crazy, but I think Louisiana Monroe has the easiest route here. I think they win out, and I think on the other side of the conference, I'm liking App State to win it. They were the reigning Sun Belt champs. I think they make it back and play Louisiana Monroe to potentially go back-to-back in their first 2 seasons in the conference. Danny?
I'm gonna pick Georgia Southern to play against ULM. I'm really liking this matchup. Georgia Southern, they had a really tough start, but that's mostly because they're out of conference. Was really tough. Same thing with ULM. So I'm thinking both these guys will win the other teams in their division and will make it to the New Orleans.
To the WAC. No longer as much of a Tarleton State show as it used to be, but Tarleton's still alive. On top of the race, though, is Pacific, who need to win out to make it, including winning against North Texas. West Texas need to beat La Tech and win out, as well as Tarleton to lose 1. How about this touchdown? Tarleton we're going to move on to now. They need to beat UNT and win out, as well as Pacific needs to lose twice. North Texas, they need to win out, including Tarleton and Pacific. They need West Texas A&M to lose once. And La Tech, sitting at the back of the standings, they need West Texas. They need to beat West Texas and win out. Outside of that, they need North Texas to lose once. With the scenarios right now, I'm liking Pacific and Louisiana Tech to play for the conference championship game in the WAC. Danny?
I am liking Pacific and Tarleton to win this one. I know it might be harder for Pacific to get two losses somewhere down the road, but I think Tarleton, they could easily beat the other Texas schools, and of course, rematch against Pacific for the championship spot.
Mm-hmm. We're going to turn the final page here to our 2KU games of the week. On Saturday, November 15th, we're going to start with number 1 Clemson heading on the road to Duke. Remember, a few years ago, they did this, and it was treacherous. They lost that game, and with that, Duke made it to the conference championship game. The Duke Blue Devils are 10-point underdogs at home. I think this game is a lot tougher than when I saw it a few weeks ago, thanks to Duke's win on the road against Georgia Tech. Nonetheless, I like Clemson to win this one. Danny?
Give me Clemson to win this one close. I think 10 might be a bit too big. I think this might be a field goal game.
Next, we have an SEC matchup to watch, to die for, really. Number 8 LSU heading on the road to take on Tennessee. Dangerous trap game. LSU favored by 8.5 on the road. Give me LSU to win this one. Danny?
Yeah, give me LSU to win this one too, even though they might be a little bit more desperate at this point, but I think they'll beat this one against Tennessee close, especially with how ruckus that crowd is.
Sun Belt matchup, very important for that race. FAU heads to Statesboro to take on Georgia Southern. It's practically a pick 'em here. I like Florida Atlantic on the road. Danny?
Give me Georgia Southern to win this one.
Number 2 Michigan heads on the road to take on a struggling Penn State. Wolverines are 10.5-point favorites. I like Michigan to win here. Danny?
Give me Michigan to win this one close. Michigan's not been playing well, and I know in front of this ruckus Penn State crowd it might be a bit tough, but I think Michigan's going to win this one.
One of 2 matchups that we have that will decide the fate of the Big East. Number 24 West Virginia, number 21 Temple. Temple 2.5-point favorites at home as West Virginia comes in the underdog, but I like West Virginia to win this one and make the conference championship game on the back of that. Danny?
They're about to go for fourth down.
Crucial 4th and 10 here. They're going to air it. He caught it. We got a great game here. Hopefully we'll have a great game on Saturday.
Give me Temple to win this one close.
We might have to stick around for this after we finish reading the games off. Florida on the road trip from hell once again. They head to Tuscaloosa to take on Bama. The Crimson Tide are 6.5-point favorites. I like Alabama to win this one and remain a one-loss team. Danny?
Brutal, but give me Alabama. This is going to be a tough game for Florida.
The big game, a little earlier than I would have expected it. Stanford and Cal, one of the most passionate rivalries in college football. But who could expect in the 2KU Cal as the favorite? 3.5 points, in fact, over Stanford. But I think this Stanford team is very tough. Give me the Cards to win it.
I am going to go with the algorithm. The Calgorithm. Give me Cal to win this one.
And looking at these uniforms, we have basically a little big game right now. Oregon State heading to LA to take on USC. I've seen USC play live. That place is a cavern. Even in big games like this. And we've seen Oregon State play with fire. USC's 8.5-point favorite. To hell with that. Give me Oregon State in the upset of the year as Miami gets the touchdown to take the lead. Danny?
Now they're about to tie.
Or tie.
Yep, I'm going to go with USC to win this one close. Oregon State, I know they'll put up a big fight, but give me USC. And also, hi, Pig Bear.
Welcome, Pig Bear. We're just wrapping up right now.
Hello, Mario.
My bad.
We're on USC, Oregon State. Who's your pick here?
USC.
All right. One more game to talk about. The undefeated Nevada Wolfpack are 12-point favorites against Idaho at home. This should be a fun one. I think Idaho is a lot better than their record give them credit for. Give me Nevada to win it, Danny.
Give me Nevada to also win this one. It should be a lot easier, especially against Idaho. I think 12 is kind of small for me, so give me Nevada.
Pig Bear?
Sorry, give me Nevada. Try to unmute myself real quick.
All right. We're going to wrap here with the 2KU game of the week. We already mentioned one game that will decide the fate of the Big East. Here's the other. Both divisions will be decided on one day and within a few hours from each other. The fate of the South lies with Louisville and UCF. The number 3 Cardinals host the number 23 Golden Knights. Louisville 8.5-point favorites on this. We've seen Louisville earlier. They demolished a SEC favorite in Rutgers. They were able to tear them down. And like as they've torn down everybody so far, I like Louisville. They are a dominant squad. Give me the Cardinals to win it. Danny?
Decisions. The Louisville Cardinals, they've been playing really well. They've been brilliant and tough.
What a
But
grab!
give me UCF in an upset. Also, great crap by Kent State.
Taking UCF. Pig Bear, send us home. We're about to have a great finish from Oxford, Ohio here.
With teeth, give me Louisville.
They have teeth. Let's watch this final finish before we go. Kent State is 3-6. They need a win here and another loss by Miami, Ohio, and they'll win the division.
Crazy. There are much more than 7 fans in Raccoon in that stadium. So
You wouldn't last in this blizzard.
yeah,
It was
like
bad out
it
here.
Dumped like, oh yeah, it dumped like 4 or 5 inches of snow up here last night.
We'll let this game finish and then we'll sign off. It's going to be a 3rd and 1. They got the first down. They'll let the clock run. It'll be a field goal.
Well, they're running the football over to the right-hand side, and obviously that's where the kicker wants this thing. He told his head coach, get me on the right hash. I can draw this thing on the kick. It's the angle I want to go and win this game.
To pull off an upset of upsets.
3,
The
2,
kick is up.
1.
And he
It's
got
good.
it. Kent State will win it here. As we sign off, join us on Saturday from Louisville, our 2nd time there this year, as Louisville and UCF decide the fate of the Big East. That's going to do it for Pig Bear and Danny V. I'm AntoineJoy11. Thank you all so much for watching. Let the highlights run, but so long from the 2KU.